Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. My name is Steve Smith and I'm your host, and we have had one hell of a ride so far on John Deere Golf Keeper of the Greens. Put your backsides down in that roller coaster seat, pull down that safety bar from above your head, and let's get stuck into the next one. This is episode number 91. John Deere Golf are proud sponsors of the Keeper of the Greens segment of the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. John Deere Golf are committed to the industry, and I've got to be honest, that is why we've got this partnership. We've formed this partnership between the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast and John Deere Golf. It's because of their commitment to the industry and how strong that is. And this is part of how they're showing you, the industry, how committed they are. So I wanted to make sure that I partnered with somebody that cared about the industry, that are committed to it. So John Deere Golf will work with you to move your game forward. And the game, look, to be honest, we all know this. The game relies on your team's passion and professionalism, which is why you can trust John Deere for a wide range of advanced equipment and dedicated support. And we all know that that's very, very important to running a successful maintenance facility as part of a successful golf club. When you work where others play, you need to make sure you've got a partner that you can trust and keep your course in perfect condition. John Deere Golf can help with top quality machines and support, forward-looking technology, and their ongoing commitment to this incredible game. And you've only got to look into some of the technology that John Deere Golf are bringing to the industry. It is very, very impressive stuff indeed. Your local John Deere dealer has everything you need. Find your nearest John Deere dealer today at deere.com.au. That's Deere, D-E-E-R-E. .com.au. So make sure you check that out, guys. And like I said, they've got some incredible equipment that's being brought out to the turf industry. So you want to make sure you're getting in touch with the reps in your area. Go and find them at deere.com.au so that you can see just how good this stuff is that's coming out to make your facility a better place. Ladies and gentlemen, we travel around the countryside and we're going to go back-to-back 9-holers this time, having been at the Northern Territory last. We're going to head into Queensland to the southeastern corner of the wonderful state that is the Sunshine State, and we're going straight to a bit of the high country there into Tamborine Mountain Golf Club, where I've got on the line Superintendent Graeme Andrews. G'day, Graeme. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, Steve. How are you, buddy?
Mate, I am well, thank you. And thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. Now, this is a little bit different. I always ask the question, have you ever been on a podcast before, mate? I've got to ask.
No, mate. And I'm not on YouTube either, bro.
Very good, mate. Very good. Not that you know of, anyway.
No.
Now, mate, you're going to give us a bit of insight into Tamborine Mountain Golf Club today, which is fantastic, and it's a great 9-holer. And I wanted to talk about this one because I've experienced it myself. I did so 18 months ago, and we'll get stuck into that a little bit later on, mate. But first, we're going to do Steve's Super 7 questions for a bit of fun. You ready to go?
Ready when you are, buddy.
All right, mate. Now, number one, it's just multiple choice, generally speaking. Number one, sunrise or sunset? What's your preference?
Sunrise.
Sunrise. And you get a ripper one up there on the mountain, don't you?
Yeah, mate. It's just like you kind of like, if you're at the front of the clubhouse, you can see it come up the sea. So it comes up over the Gold Coast, so you can actually watch it come up over the breakwater and all that.
Yeah, nice.
And it's just, and like, once it starts hitting you, go, oh, a bit of warmth. So,
especially in those winter mornings, mate, up there on the top of the mountain. Now, number two, this is an interesting one, and I'm curious to your own personal view, as opposed to if it's different to the clubhouse. But what do you like about this one? Dogs or no dogs allowed on the golf course?
No dogs, and it's a hard one because I'm a dog lover and own dog.
Yep.
But yeah, no dogs on the course.
Okay,
yeah.
No worries.
It's a hard one.
Number three, it is a hard one. That one, it often gets people thinking about their head or their heart. Number three, stripes or no stripes on fairways, mate. What do you reckon here?
Mate, where I am at the moment, up on the mountain, mate. I go stripes, and if time allows, I go checkerboard.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, That's up there.
If we got a good easy day, or not so busy day on Friday. Like the main stripes are pretty well burnt in.
Yep.
And then Fridays go for that checkerboard.
Yeah,
so
nice.
you stand up on certain holes and all you're looking at is like a checkerboard all the way down the first and up the 9. It's just like, it just puts us up that level, mate. And it's just, the members love it. They go, oh, look at that. You know,
Brilliant.
You don't really see it too much around Southeast Queensland. Some guys do it, but not much.
Yep.
So I think it just brings us something different for us.
Totally. Absolutely, mate. Yep. Sensational. All right, number 4. Green-coloured sand or natural-coloured sand for divot repairs?
I'll go natural because we have so much rain and you put any pigment in it, it just disappears in a day. So, I totally go just natural sand. People are going, they've gone and played some of the resort courses, they're going to come back. The only thing they say to me is, can we get some green sand? And as soon as you start throwing numbers and price around, they just go, no, normal sand's fine.
Leave it as is, mate. Leave it as is. Yeah. Very good. All right. Now, number 5. This one's, I'm looking for a good answer here. I'm curious. Number 5, your favourite grass variety?
Definitely bent grass, mate.
Okay. Very good, mate. And we'll get into that, I'm sure, a little bit more. Number 6, preferred style of golf course. Now, this is a multiple choice, and it's a few different selections from around Australia. What's your preferred style? Is it Cape Wickham down on King Island? Is it Kingston Heath on the Melbourne Sandbelt? Or is it Elliston in rural New South Wales?
I would probably go Kingston, bud.
Yeah, okay. Kingston Heath?
Yep.
Very nice.
Yep. Yeah.
Popular choice, that one. Very much so. Now, the final question, mate, number 7. If you could walk around but not play, just to walk around any golf course in Australia tomorrow and take it all in, which one would it be?
It's
a big question.
It's a big one, bro. Maybe Eleanor down in New South Wales, mate.
Eleanor down here in Sydney?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd just be interested, like, I've known a couple of guys that work down there, and, like, I know it's kind of up there.
Yep.
But I just thought, I'd be really interested to see, because, like, it's kind of like quite a known course in New South Wales. I thought I'd be interested to kind of get in and just see how they operate. And, because, I've heard some stories and I kind of go, wow.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So, I'd be really interested to just have a look at that one, I guess, yeah. Otherwise, maybe somewhere over in Perth.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, very good. Very good.
Those guys have got another environment, they have to deal with it. Most of the guys in Australia don't really would have to. So
no, but I've recently been there, and I can vouch for that. It's a very, very interesting, unique, and sensational part of the country for looking after golf courses and certainly courses to play.
Well, I think it falls in that same category as Canberra. It's like anyone I come across that's worked in Canberra and still working there, I just kind of bow to them and go, wow.
Yeah,
that's just a tough life.
It's an understated wild part of the country to look after turf. There's no doubt.
I'm thinking, mate, I'll be getting on realestate.com and looking somewhere else. It's cold, mate. It's only got the flower show, haven't it? Really? My wife keeps going, we'll go to Canberra. I'm like,
but let's be fair, you Queenslanders can't stand the cold at all. If it gets under 20 degrees, you start putting jumpers and jackets and beanies and scarves on. So let's be fair, Dinkum.
Mate, I'm an expat Kiwi, bro.
Oh, wow, there you go. That's
mate, I should be just walk around in the winter with a thong on, but no. I'm a bit too climatised, mate. So, I'm the jumper, the bush shirt, the Ugg boots with the steel cab, it's like, I don't know about this cold.
Sensational stuff. All right, well, Graeme, thank you so much for doing Steve's Super 7 questions. They're always a bit of fun for people to have a bit of an interesting look into some of the answers and compare with themselves, mate. So thank you very much. Now, mate, we are going to get into the thick of things, and we're going to learn a little bit about your career. And on the back of that, we're going to learn a little bit about Tamborine Mountain Golf Club as well, and the golf course you got there, like I said. So let's start off, mate. You just mentioned then, and you've just dropped it in, that you're a Kiwi. So can you tell us, mate, is that some of where your background got you into greenkeeping? Take us back to how you got into greenkeeping as a trade, as a profession, and your journey to get towards Tamborine Mountain where you are today, mate. Start us back at the beginning if you can.
Yeah, well, basically I was one of those, like a dairy farmer's kind of son or grandson, but I had no interest in cows.
Okay.
And then, of course, you take up golf because Christmas holidays, you go and spend it with your grandparents to give mum and dad a rest and that. So you kind of pick up playing golf and you're hacking around with like a cut down and 7-iron. So I started playing golf probably when I was about 7, but back in those days, like early 80s, there was no such thing as a junior golfer.
Yep.
And you had to be at least 12 before any golf club would look at putting you on the books because of insurance.
And this is New Zealand, mind you. This is back home. Whereabouts were North Island, South Island?
I'm North Island, so I'm Taranaki, mate. So I'm basically in between Auckland and Wellington. So I'm not like the groin that sticks out towards Tasmania.
Okay.
So,
cool.
they got a big-ass mountain on pretty close to the coastline, probably about, 40k away from the coastline. It gets covered in snow and all that.
Yeah, right.
So it's a magnet for weather, like you get tourists coming through and they go, oh, it must be great living, because you can see it from anywhere in the town. It's always there. And but I just go, if I had enough dynamite, I'd blow the top off it. Because, mate, all it does, it'd be a beautiful day, and then suddenly, once the mountain disappears, it's like, hunker down, she's coming.
Yeah,
and,
right.
Because all the soil's volcanic as well, so it's really free draining.
Yep.
But it's just cold, wet, really windy sometimes. But, so I left school really early. I basically couldn't wait to get out of school.
Yep.
I just didn't like school, so pretty well I was given the option of, well, you go back to school, come work on a farm, or go get a job kind of thing. And I went, well, I'll go get a job.
Cool.
And so I ended up going to like taper back in New Zealand, they call them Polytech.
Yes, well, that's what they call it, I think, in Melbourne as well, as Polytechnic.
Yeah, so
Melbourne Polytechnic.
Yeah, kind of parents signed me up to do like a commercial horticultural course for a whole year.
Yep.
So that's like 5 days a week. And, did that for a year. I kept saying to my old man, mate, I'm going to become a professional golfer. Or a professional surfer, and he just laughed at me. And I went, right. And then I remember I come home and I finished the Polytech course with honours, and I was like, my parents were astounded because you look at my school reports, it's like I was one of those guys who like to change E's into B's kind of thing on the school report. And they kind of look at me and say, oh, yeah, how'd you cheat this? And I'm like, I didn't cheat. It was just something I enjoyed, outdoors.
Okay.
Working with the grounds, the plants, stuff like that. So I quite enjoyed it.
Yep.
So then on, Taranaki's we've got about 24 golf courses in the area.
Okay.
The central main area, without getting too far out in the country. But it's kind of old school, So some of the superintendents have been there for 30 years, and they're not going to step down until the reaper taps on the shoulder. So, and the apprentices are the same. They stay there until, I don't know, they have their 50th wedding anniversary or something like that. So getting into the trade is quite difficult. But I was lucky. Back in New Zealand, they had a bit like work for the dough, I guess.
Okay.
And so they said, oh, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to work on a golf course, man.
Yep.
So they got me a job with a little country club just south of New Plymouth. And theoretically, you only could do 6 months with them. Well, I did a year.
Okay.
And then an apprenticeship became available, worked under Nigel Lord, who passed away last year. He was kind of like, he's one of the Kiwi immortals. He did a lot for the industry when I was a young fella.
Yeah, right.
And even to the day he retired, he was always doing something. And I ended up working for him for 12 months because the apprentice just wouldn't go.
Yeah.
It was like, go, man, go. As soon as you go, I'll get the apprenticeship. So he hung on for about, 12 months. And I'm like, So the job come up, and I thought, oh, I'm in here. I'll prove myself. And then, good old Nigel, he made me apply for it. So I ended up doing an apprenticeship, and I got it. So I ended up doing my apprenticeship under Nigel. But I was only about a second year into it. And Nigel was doing consultancy work for, which was known at that time, Warwick International Golf Club in the centre of Taupo.
Okay.
Well, just out of Taupo. And he's just come back and he said, oh, mate, been offered this job. What do I do? And I said, oh, mate, I'll be taking it. Because Nigel had been with Inglewood Golf Club for at least 24 and a half, maybe nearly 25 years, solid.
Right.
And I said, mate, I'll do it, Everyone knows who you are, but, it's your time. And sure enough, he took it. So I thought, cool, I'll go for his job.
Okay.
I thought, I'm in here too. So, knew all the committee in there, and had to go through the interview process. And bug me dead. I walk in the interview, and Nigel Lloyd's on the interview table. And I went, oh, what are you doing here? He said, the club invited me. And I didn't get the job.
Right.
And I went, oh, wow. And then it was only like months later, Warwicky, Nigel offered me to go and work for him up in Taupo as GIC, as well as finish off my last year and a half in the apprenticeship.
Right, so you hadn't quite finished your time yet.
I hadn't finished my time.
Okay,
no.
got you.
So that was to me going from an 18-hole country club where there was usually a superintendent, apprentice, and then a kickabout.
Yep.
I went up there to basically, on average, we'd have about 14 full-time staff.
Wow. Okay.
So for me, I was probably 21, just gone on 20. Yeah, just gone on over 21. So to me, going in and having to tell older guys what to do and kind of deal with the staff problems. So to me, it was really eye-opener. It was kind of, I wouldn't say stressful, but it was like, I don't know if I can do this.
Well, it's a very different challenge dealing with staff and personalities in a workplace in a group than it is dealing with the turf, which is what we go into the job wanting to do so much. But then you've got to realise that there's a team that you've got to help support and manage and get the job done with a group of people together. So there's something there that we don't often think about when we're getting into the industry, isn't it?
No, well, that's it. And I wasn't aware of it, and those days we had to get rid of some staff. They just weren't working out. The guys up there were really good. There was some of them been there a long time, and you kind of come in with bright new ideas. And we were lucky. Japanese owner was really fruitful with the money.
Yep.
And then 3 Kiwi guys bought the course. I can't remember those two, but the last one I worked, or the main one, and he still owns it, is Gary Lane. And Gary just had a vision, and for greenkeepers or even ground stuff, it's really exciting because this guy had the money, so it's not a problem. So the lakes went in, and we put it's like a big predator boundary right around the course, and he's got deer and all that on the course, and and he just went all out, and it's just absolutely magnificent.
Wow.
So,
okay.
so I was up there for a while, but then I probably worked for Nigel for about, 7 or 8, maybe a bit more long years.
Yep.
So I just applied for another course, Eldon, for a head superintendent back in my home district. And I just found when I was around that 2IC stage, it was just cool.
Yep.
You can go home and you don't have to think about it. Whereas when you kind of get to, when I got to being the head boss, it wasn't pressure, it wasn't stress, but your mind doesn't shut off.
Yes.
That's why you're always thinking about it. And I quite openly try and educate my members and golfers who are willing to ask the question that it's not a job where we're working in the post office looking at stamps where we can shut off at 5 o'clock and go home and we don't have to think about it until we walk in 8 o'clock next morning. It's, the weather controls us. She's a big bad boss when she wants to be. So greenkeepers or superintendents, we're funny characters, mate. It's just we're really a weird bunch because we're always striving to do more and better when sometimes we just haven't got the resources. And, we take everything we do, our own courses, really personal.
Yeah.
It's like they're our babies. So whether you've got 9 holes or 18 holes or 27 or 36, they're your babies. And if anyone's seen hurting them, it's like, oh God, it's going to be some pain. But so I work for another little club, a little country club, and they were lucky. They're in an area where grass will grow on your back. It's so fertile. It was an ex-farm, so the soil's really the course being looked after by the previous owners. So to grow grass, and we're talking rye, bent grasses, fescue bleens. It was just easy, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, nice.
But I was pretty well, after about 3 years with them, I was burnt out. It was just long hours, something I really hadn't accounted on. So basically I took a bit of time off. The wife and I come over to Australia on holiday. So that's it. Moved to Australia. It's too cold in New Zealand.
This is are we stereotyping a New Zealand trip to Australia? Isn't that what everyone says happens? Are you not the typical stereotype where Kiwis come over here for a holiday and they go, "That's it, we're not going home"?
Mate, I'm the billboard. I'm on the billboard on M1, bro. It's like, don't go home, bro. Don't go home.
I love it.
So when I come over, Yeah, so when I got over here, we decided to stay on the Gold Coast. We went up to Sunshine Coast up around Noosa, but that's kind of like, there wasn't a lot of work, but it was kind of like where the retirees go from Sunshine Coast.
Yeah,
And it
okay.
was
So
like,
what era, when about are we talking about? What era is this?
about 2000 and, roughly 2004, I guess, fella.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I kind of dilly-dallied around a little bit, and I didn't want to go back into greenkeeping on the Gold Coast as a casual.
Okay.
I got plenty of offers. Oh, I heard you in the country. Would you want to come work for us? We'll push on casual. And like casual kind of didn't give me the feeling of security. And I was going, no, I'm quite looking forward to having a bit of a break. So I went into working for a company manufacturing aluminium tree and steel trays for youth.
Right.
And so it was a totally different. I'm inside a factory and then moved into the office as a boss. So that was quite different. You look out the window and go, oh, look at that lovely day. But I'm stuck in an office and some buggers turn the aircon down to 17. You're just sitting there shivering. And
but you get the good ones when the day's terrible outside, and then you're inside going, I don't miss that.
And I never said to my staff, oh, geez, how hot it is. I never did that to them because as 101, you're going to get sun thrown in the back of your head when you walk away. So, I actually learned a lot through that industry about staff management.
Okay, that's interesting.
Probably more than I probably would in any other trade because a lot of the labour isn't skilled or qualified.
Okay.
So that was the difference. You bring in your qualified spray painters to colour code trace the vehicles. You'd have qualified welders or qualified press operators, but the other 220 are just kind of like people who walk off the street and get a job.
Right.
So, they're not skills. They might be good at multitasking. They might be good with a drill or something like that. So you give them a go. So it was kind of quite an experience and a theory on how to get some of these guys to work. Taking that, what I learned from those guys with their HR and that, I did that for a while. Pretty well got tired of being inside. So then I thought, I was currently in the process of building a house. So I thought, I'll have another year of being a dilly-dab. And Jeremy, I like to look after myself sometimes.
Yeah, righto.
And there was a job advertised out at Koalas for a 2IC. And I thought, I remember driving out there when we first came over, when it had been shut down and, everything was grown over.
There's Koalas Golf Course, the golf resort.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I thought, it must have looked a treat in its day. And you've got to make out where the course went. So I was down an application through, and Jeremy Perry rang me up. He's the head super out there and top bloke. And he said, oh, mate, you want to, come out? And I said, yeah, mate, I'll come out. And I still wasn't keen. I'm like, yeah, I'll have a look, mate. But when I got out there was so much to be done.
Yeah.
I think that's what the exciting part was. Like the greens had just been laid the second time with Tiff Eagle.
Okay.
And, the bunkers were kind of so, like they redug them out and got the new sand, but everything else just covered in lantana, and, you go, wow.
Wow. I don't know the background. I know it was a wonderful build. Desmond Muirhead was the architect that come over and done the design, and I've played it. It's an incredible layout. There's no two ways about it.
Oh, mate, and like it's been, without kind of swearing too much, there's been bastardised over the years. Well, they've altered a few holes around and all that. But as a whole, it's a really golfing challenge, especially off the black tees. It's just humongous.
Oh, it's mega.
Wow, how much fun this! I'll call back through the pro shop and get another basket of balls.
Don't they have a Copperhead challenge out there or something every month? It's a mega golf course from the tips.
Oh, and that's so that was a really great experience because I never had any experience with Cooch.
Okay, right,
We don't really run Cooch to New Zealand,
No.
like it's a weed to us. So coming over, start working in Germany, so we've got Cooch greens, and I kind of like looked down, I must have that look on my face.
Yeah.
Well, what's that? But he's an expat Kiwi as well, and he kind of went, oh, such, and I went, okay. I said, I'll get my head around it. But we were kind of lucky. We had native cooks kind of coming through the fairways naturally.
Okay.
So all we had to do was just start kind of giving it what I wanted. So that was basically there, and then the Tiff Eagle. And then, you get experience new stuff. Like we had a few issues with ERI out there.
Okay.
Another one of those things where Kiwis don't see it or know much about it.
It's like snakes.
A lot of
Snakes,
Australian
really.
guys don't get it. They hear about it, but that's the experience. Like losing big patch of greens overnight. It's kind of like, oh.
Yeah, right.
And you instantly look at who filled up the two-stroke on the green because it's just this big circle. Who didn't put the filler cap on the greens, mate? That's what it looked like. And you kind of go, oh. So that was really cool. But then we had that drought. Must have been a minimum of 8 years ago, and the place we were just running out of water. We had no water, and Jeremy and I basically kept those greens going for 5 months without water, which was.
And that's when I had played the golf course, because sometime around then I was like, I've got to try, and I've heard so much, I want to go and see. And I got out there, and it was in a state and a half. There's no sugarcoating it, because you had run out of water. There was next to no grass on the fairways. It was the most terrible thing I think I had ever seen on a golf course that had previously such a good name.
Well, that's it, and like we were actually heading in the right direction of where the owner wanted, and Jared and I were kind of pleasantly happy. We were going in the direction we needed to, but so when you get that dealt with you, it's like, okay, now what? And like we transferred all water we could, because they did have a reserve lake up the back where the ski field was,
right?
And we drained that, and that was basically maybe 3 or 4 days of water for the greens alone, and then that was bone dry. So when you got no water, there's no town supply, you're pretty well buggered. The course basically just runs off whatever water's stored on the course.
Right, okay, yep. Then you got nothing more. Beyond that, you've got nothing.
Pretty well that's it. And then I know just before I left, Urban Utilities hooked into one of our pipelines so we could get the clean effluent water off them. But there's not that many people in Coralba, man.
Yeah.
You'd have to get everyone to flush the toilets at least 10 times a day.
Yeah, right.
Like, you stand and go, mate, I'd be better off just getting all the locals come in and pee on the green, mate. It's just like, you wouldn't even see water levels. And you kind of go, okay, but hey, at least we're trying to do something. But it's just a really harsh environment. Like, it's so cold in winter. Like, you'd get -7 in the winter.
Really?
And then you get days up around the high 40s during summer. Where you go to get in your car and the damn thing's over 55, and you go, oh,
that's brutal.
Your kind of happy zone's probably only out of 12 months, maybe 2 months of the year.
Wow.
The rest time you're fighting, and I guess it's just because it's in the valley. But then you get the summer storms, which would come across from kind of the Warwick, Toowoomba way. And, like, they're just those real snap ones. Like, they come in about 20 minutes and they're gone in about 22. But they'll give you 60 mil with hail.
Yeah, right.
And then you won't see anything again for months. Like, I remember going through a stage where, you check the weather gauge just for the fucking hell of it. It was more like to tip the spiders out because, Jerry, you watch bomb. That's the worst part. Like, you don't go home to watch the news or home and away. You sit home and watch the bomb on the big screen because you go, oh, look at that. There's a bit of white. It's on the course. You get out there and it's not even due, mate. You kind of go, okay.
It's a pretty wild part. It's a beautiful part of the world, but it's a pretty extreme part of the world by the sounds of it. And no disservice to the golf course, because it had been a very, very challenging time. And like I said, I don't know a lot of the detail about that part of the world, not having spoken to anyone who's worked on course besides yourself. But it's a hell of a golf course, and it's a hell of a challenge. But I've not seen it in good condition with water and with good rain, and that for the last sort of 5 years that we've had in general. So I can't speak for that.
But see, I think it was under 3 years ago. It was flooded.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. I'd love to have seen it.
All the staff were putting these big, massive lateral drains through all the fields. You kind of go,
yeah, wow.
I mean, we used to bounce a ball on like concrete, but it's just like, and because the water just won't go anywhere.
Yeah,
it just sits there and goes stagnant and starts rotting. You go, oh no.
Unbelievable.
But
interesting.
So yes, I was out there with Jeremy for probably maybe about 3 years, I guess.
Yep.
And then I moved down to work under Paul Mack and McLean at Century Cove.
Now, Paul's been on the podcast. I've had him on before and talking about Sanctuary Cove, and he's recently moved on. But he's a fantastic individual, and there you go. So you've made the move over to Sanctuary Cove.
Yeah, so that was going from the dark side of the moon to the bright side of the moon.
That's a hell of a facility, Sanctuary Cove, man. That's a big step.
I think if anyone goes and works there, they're kind of lucky where the members and directors pretty well know that the golf courses are not their money earner, but that's the number one on the priority. So, they'll throw the coin where it's got to be thrown without even batting an eyeball, which is great. So, like coming from when we were at Crowell, there was only Jeremy and I were qualified. The other guys were walk-ins, just locals.
Yep.
So, so it was kind of different to go and work for Macca where pretty well everyone knew how to do their job, except for the apprentices who they learned something new. So, you're talking 28 staff on the course. Or
courses.
So,
yep.
To have two different courses side by side, I thought that was really. I used to get quite excited. Like I'm a lover of the Palms,
okay.
Even though the Pines is just pristine. But So I thought it was great because I was lucky enough to experience the rebuild on the Pines course.
Yep, so that was the greens. So that was the greens, wasn't it?
So that was the greens, tees. They put in some bunkers. They did a whole new course irrigation on the Pines.
Right.
So it was really great to kind of come from where we just patch stuff up, keep it going, to where they just go, hey, look at all these painted lines, and like you knew that, cool, everything's going to get watered, everything's going to be maintained, and it was really great. And like to watch the guys construct the greens and then kind of the new spec nowadays.
Yep.
I kind of got a little bit excited. I wasn't over the moon, but I was excited because, I'd done it when I did my apprenticeship. So that was 20 years earlier, where we just had to hand dig the trench for the drains on the greens, Nowadays they use that fancy stuff that's kind of flat and square, rectangular, and they just lay it on the base and go, oh, my day, what we had to get your spade out and just start digging, and make sure it's at the right levels. So, watching the guys on the machines leveling up the sand, running on the GPS system, because my understanding was, because it's Arnold Palmer only course in Australia, they want the members and the directors wanted the course back to the way Arnie built it.
Okay.
So it was kind of quite fascinating. So, we had all the specs on what the greens look like and the slope and the grades and all that. So it's kind of cool watching these guys do that because not many guys get a build green cross. I've been lucky enough, apart from the thing I did at the Sanctuary, I probably built about 4 or 5 greens just to find out that, mate, I'll just show by eye.
Mate, she's a different world these days.
Throw another trail load over there, mate. We'll make a mound there,
Mate, it's down to a plus or minus 1 centimetre. It's incredible with the technology.
Well, mate, these guys were even getting down to the base of a grain of sand.
That's great. It's unreal. That's unreal.
Which I thought was quite humorous because I was standing there having a good old chuckle because I'm going, by the time we sprig it, it's going to be different. And Arnie's not with us anymore, so he ain't going to know. But, it was kind of fascinating because, I remember Macca saying, oh, you ever heard of a T-mound before? I went, mate, I've been in this industry and around this industry for 20-plus years. I'm going, looking at him like I'm a big dodo going, what? A T-mound? I started, and we talking about me. And then we started looking at it, and a lot of Americans, when they build golf courses, they actually build a mound next to the tees so it allows the golfer to actually walk off the tee up to this mound right next to it, actually look down the hole, especially like Sanctuary Cove, you probably would have been there. On the Pines, then everything's dead flat. Or it looks flat, but then there's these little swales and all that. So over the years, obviously, some of these have been bulldozed for car paths and all that. So we put them all back, and I'm thinking, I would have never even thought of that.
Yeah, right.
Who goes dumps a truckload of soil on the side of a tee and then, turfs out and makes it a viewing mound so a golfer can go, oh, yeah, there is another bunker down there.
A subtle viewing platform without a giant structure.
Where it just looks natural. I thought that was pretty cool. So, it's been, probably about 3 years down there with Macca and the boys.
And
then I have... Oh, sorry?
No, I was going to say, mate, you like you said, you learned a lot through there. That's
Oh.
that's a next level golf facility, right? Isn't it? I mean, I know Cameron Smith is the new superintendent there, who's come up from Bonnie Doon to take in place of Paul McLean, who's moved on, like I said,
Yep.
and Paul had been kind enough to show me around those greens that were being built on the Pines, and I know that the Palms is being redone at the moment. There's so much going on; it's next level. To have worked on the team, that's a lot of knowledge that you would have been able to take in.
Well, that's the thing, and like it's just really enjoyable. They go. I remember we were doing the practice. We used a lot of turf off the practice tees, and it was just really new to work from a golf club who voted on shutting their course down for 6 months so we could do this.
Yeah,
not many golf clubs would do that. They might give you a week or 2 weeks, but to go 6 months. But I guess we were lucky because we had the Palms next door. But it just gives everyone their chance to go, right, here's the plan.
Yep.
Let's go. And you get excited because you don't have to stop, walk away, go back, and So it was really a good free rein, and it was just a great time to experience new stuff. We're trying out the zoysia around the greens to try and stop the coots from the fairways, the collars kind of approaching. So it was kind of quite a new experience where 80% of the plus golf course wouldn't be thinking about that.
Yeah.
But these guys had.
Yep.
And I thought that's cool.
Cool.
So got to have a good bit of time down there with those boys, and then the little Tamborine Mountain Golf Club come up, mate. And I was kind of at the point of my career, and I think the age was telling me a little bit.
Yep.
That, mate, I want one more shot. And that was just the base of the gospel. I want one more shot to show what I can do. So I wanted one more chance to sign off on something.
Sure.
And I wasn't really interested at 18-hole golf clubs.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I've been a member up at the Tamborine Golf Club, or still am currently, prior.
Okay.
But it's just one of those courses, like you see, when you come up, you kind of walk on the first tee and go, wow.
Oh, mate.
Cool. Let's get into this little puppy. Stick another 6-pack of Croners in, let's go. And so, my mates and I enjoyed the members up here, and I thought, I'm going to have one more go. I know Macca, top bloke, go, I don't know, I don't think you can do it. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't do it? And he goes, well, you can't work where you play.
That's an interesting point of view, because I've heard both sides, and I've only done one side, which is to work where I play. Yeah,
and I understood what it wasn't his argument, but what he believed.
Yep.
And I've done all that throughout my career. I've always played for that club that I work for.
Yep.
And I said to Macca, I'll show you. I was taught from day one, the best way you can act as a superintendent with your members is just being open. You stuff up, just tell them. Straight away, I stuffed up. Because you're human. Everyone makes mistakes. And just be quite open to discussing, I don't try to get into too much of a conflict, because you always come across a golfer who's had a bad day, and you walk in on Saturday and you walk in and he goes, ding, ding, round one. So I kind of
they line you up.
Yeah, they go, there he is. They just knew I had to go to the wait till 10:30 when I go back to the bar, and they kind of set me up a little bit. But it was kind of like you hear them out, but you don't take it on board.
Yep.
You take it with a little bit of grain of salt. But I really enjoy the interaction with the members and the social players.
That's good.
Where I know some superintendents, I wouldn't say the ones I've experienced in Australia so much, but maybe back in New Zealand, they prefer to kind of lock themselves away a little bit and just go to the meetings, pass information on at the meetings, and job done. Whereas, to me, it's a bit like I giggle when on social media they have the Thank You Superintendent Day. And I remember catching up with Macca after about 6 months after being up on the mountain, and we weren't going too well. And I said, I see you Thank You Superintendent Day's coming up. And he questioned me, he said, why my day? And I said, because it's for guys like you. What? Who work at these big clubs. Because I said, mate, every day I'm at work, a member comes past and, how you going? Pat on the back. And I said, mate, I've been standing here with a hose at 6:30 on a Saturday night. And I said, mate, they'll come out with a cold beer for you. Because they go, here you go, you need that. Keep hydrating. You go, oh, really? I'm working. No. And I said, mate, it's just really great. So I think that's what I like about the mountain, because we were kind of built by locals.
Yeah. Yep.
And, early on in the days, it's kind of my understanding, like all the trees up here were all planted by the members. And, not much was, well, they didn't have the money, so a lot of them weren't purchased. They were donated. I think all the silly pine trees, which we haven't got many of, I think some guy from forestry gave us those, and it was like, well, it gave us instant kind of lines, but now we've got to get rid of the damn things. But all the other native trees all been done by the members.
Yeah, okay. Wow, that's interesting.
So, so now you move on to like 40 years, you go, who planted that there?
Yeah, exactly. So you got up to, how long have you been at Tamborine Mountain now?
2 years, 9 months, 2 weeks, and about 3 days.
But who's counting? But who's counting, right? So,
yeah,
mate, that's quite a journey from New Zealand to get to where you are at Tamborine Mountain. You've experienced a lot, but you kind of skipped. You went straight from the cold to straight to the hot and humid.
and that's it. It was like a little bit of a different thing. A lot of guys I know, they like to stay around their state or their province. Where I come from, we call them province because they're not that big.
Okay.
But I was always quite willing to throw some jocks and socks in a bag and let's go and experience something else. I always said I never wanted to be a lifer. I didn't want to stay at a golf course all my life.
Yep.
Because I just kind of found, like, with the old boys I come across when I was back home as a young fella, it's their way or no way. And you'd have some young guys come in with some new ideas and they just get shot to hell. And I went, I don't want to work in that kind of environment. So I've kind of been lucky,
But
it's just you get experience all sides, the rich side, the poor side, the hot side, the wet side, the cold side. So I think, as a whole, I'm quite happy and love it up on the mountain.
That's quite a journey, mate, and it's a good lot of experience to have been through, to have that under your belt, and it throws you to where you are now on Tamborine Mountain, which is a pretty unique part of the Gold Coast and a unique part of Australia in a sense. And so, mate, a great turn to hear that journey of yours in your greenkeeping career today. So what I'd like to do now, and thanks for sharing that too, by the way, because not a lot of people feel comfortable sharing their career, and sometimes that's good. So, mate, I appreciate you sharing that, because a lot of people will hear that and learn some things out of that and what they can do with their careers ahead of themselves if they're just getting into the industry. And, mate, it's always a good thing to be able to sort of say, hey, someone else has done this, or I'm thinking of doing that, and they learn about how to even travel and put themselves forward for different roles. So thank you, mate. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm all for it because, I've worked with a few young guys. There was when we were down in Sanchico, we had young Tommy Barth. He come from Palm Meadows, and I think he was Queensland Apprentice of the Year. He'd put himself through the diploma, and we were working one day, and he said, "Oh, what should I do now, Gene?" I said, "Mate, I would honestly just take a year off, mate, and just come to work and learn." What?
Yep.
I said, "You don't know nothing. What? You don't know nothing. It's all in a book." I said, "What you need to do is learn day to day, people skills, machinery repairs, stuff like that. Just get your hands a bit dirty, mate." And I said, "Mate, Tommy, you're in a perfect location, and I should have done it when I finished my time. Go overseas, mate. If you get an opportunity, just go, man. What? Even if you just do an intern or 6 months, 3 months in the States, and then go to Europe, Scotland, England, then come home."
And I've interviewed a lot of people that have done just that through the Ohio State program, for example, and they've come back a world better for it. There's lots of things to learn from doing something like that. It's quite an interesting thing that you mentioned about taking the opportunities to do something along those lines after you finish your time.
It's like don't fall into that comfort zone, I guess. It's
keep challenging yourself.
And people do it in everything. They don't like their job, but they don't want to leave because of their comfort zone.
Creatures of habit, mate. We're all guilty of doing it from time to time, and for different parts of our lives, it works. And sometimes you need to be sort of given a bit of a kick in the backside to say, hey, it might be good just to shake things up a bit and learn a lot more.
Well, I think, and it is, and like you really find out really quick what you do and don't know.
Mate, I think you always find out that the sea and the ocean are deeper and bigger than you ever thought.
Mate, I thought I could swim pretty good Sundays. But then, you're going to go, right, I won't let that happen again. But, it's like, oh, maybe that old guy was right. But, it's like, yeah, I think, cause sometimes you can fall in that, you always got someone to back you. But I think, once you get to like the smaller courses where it's New South Wales, Queensland, and you're not on the kind of say the coastline, so you're back about 20k or 25k away from the coast, it's a different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the committees will hold you accountable for everything.
Yeah.
And I think, with Nigel, what I really took from working under Nigel Lloyd was he run that club. And so, like, he didn't have a vote on committee, but the committee were always open for his suggestions or ideas. So I always look at it where I look at other superintendents that they're not quite. They always have a board of directors or committee. They make decisions, and the super comes in. Oh, well, I'd like to do this. This is the reasons for yes or no. But with Nigel, it was like he had the reins, and so I thought when I come on the mountain, I spoke to the committee. I said, I like to be active with the committee.
Yep.
I'm not going to sway you on doing anything, but I'd like to have a little bit of an opportunity to have some input. And they were like, oh, wow, cool, yeah, that'd be great. Because when you've been around the game since, well, I hate to say it, I'm 51 now, but I've been playing this game since I was 7. You kind of get the understanding of what works and what doesn't work.
Sure.
And I just thought, and I really enjoy it. Like some things I don't want to know about, and that's something now. Even today, I'm having to learn. Don't take that on board,
You're always learning, mate. There's no two ways about it in life.
Let someone else deal with it.
Always learn. Yeah. Indeed. So, mate, so let's turn the page. Let's talk about this absolutely, and it's a dead set rip snorter of a 9-holer, this one. I am a massive fan of Tamborine Mountain. So I'm going to jump in and just quickly preface this whole scenario and get a little bit of my description of Tamborine Mountain when I went up. So I knew very little about Tamborine Mountain Golf Club. In fact, I was looking for a round of golf when I was at the Gold Coast, and I thought, geez, I've been lucky enough to play a lot of the courses down in the main part of the coast and a lot of the big name resort courses and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, look, what's going on up at Tamborine Mountain? I've been up there a bit to see, but I didn't know there was a golf course. So I took the opportunity early one morning to, I think I rang the pro shop the afternoon before to see if I could get out early. And the coast was clear. So I did so, and I got in there, and I was first up, and I parked and I was driving, because you drive up quite a long way, don't you? It's up a mountain. It's huge.
We've got basically kind of three roads heading up towards us. So we've got one that comes up through Oxford, which is kind of the flatter run.
Yep.
Then we've got one in the middle where the locals, we call it Mystery Road, and she's a mystery. And she's got cutbacks, and it's as wide as a car.
That's the problem.
And you kind of go, just use a bit of an experience. And then you got the more the coastal side, which is Hinterland, which is just a gut wrench. If you've got an underpowered car, you're going to know. Yeah. You're better off turning around and going up in reverse, mate, because it'll be quicker.
It's pretty sensational, but it's a long way up. Like you said earlier on, you get a view of the coast and you get to see the sunrise from up there. But the golf course, I call it a full-size 9-holer. It's not, man, you're hitting drivers. It's got a massive par 5 to open. The view from the first tee is sensational. There's a big tower, radio tower, I think it is, behind you. You're like one of the highest points in that part of the world. And the view down the first, I remember walking down the first going, I'll just follow the path. Where am I going? And it opened up. And it's like this... It's like an 18-hole golf course, but it's only 9 holes. I can't begin to explain how big it is. It's massive. So, mate, give us a bit of an idea geographically what it's like, and give us a bit of an idea of, the golf course. You said earlier it was built by the members and that sort of stuff, but tell us geographically where it is, how it is, and what the climate's like up there. It's all so different to the Gold Coast. Yeah,
so basically, Steve, we're approximately about 35 to 40 minutes drive from the Gold Coast, going kind of like straight inland, straight west. And basically the golf course is set 500 feet? Yeah, 500 feet, I think. Okay. Yeah, it must be feet above sea level.
Yep. So what's that? That's nearly probably close to, it's a couple hundred metres.
Yeah. So, basically the course is set on one end of the ridge of Mount Tamborine. So we've got Tamborine Mountain, and then we go over, and then it's North Tamborine, then it's Eagle High. So there's kind of a few little pockets across the mountain, but we're the south end of the mountain. So we probably will be, I would say, roughly are the highest, because we're the only ones who got the tower for telecommunications,
Yes.
radios, phones, and all that.
Yep.
The soil up here is red. Like, it stains you worse than tattoo ink, man. It's like, I've got a couple of guys out doing irrigation, and after the first 3 days, all I'm copping is, have you got any more grittier hand wash? And I'm like, mate, you can wash it with petrol. I could sandblast it, and that shit ain't coming off. And it just stains everything. And so when I first come here, you rock up with your white Gold Coast golf shoes, you got your fancy things on, and they go, and the members just look at it and just start laughing. And you go, what's the matter? We're seeing 3 holes. And like, you can guarantee you come into this nice kind of calf or baby coloured shoes, and you go, man, these just cost me $350. So, and it's basically the guts is you can grow anything in it. That's probably about the best part.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's I'm probably one or two people on the mountain I think there's about 7.5, maybe 7,700 people live on the mountain now.
Okay.
They think the actual soil is apart from the staining, it's really volatile, man.
Okay.
Like it dries very quick, and it goes hard.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's basically a iron-based clay.
Right.
So there's
So when you're wet, you're wet.
We're wet. We will drain, but it becomes a skating rink, mate.
Right.
Any bit of dirt dropped on the rough or fairways, if that's wet and it gets driven over a couple of times by a golf cart, you go back in 3 days and you can't put a spade through it. It's just gone rock hard, cracks open like a 5-day wicket. So because we're so high in elevation, like our holes, we got 918, basically from tee to green is 35 metres in elevation.
And there you go. Just quickly, I've just looked it up. You're 500 metres above sea level, so you are a long way up. So you create you create your own weather up there. So you got 35 metres of elevation difference from the 9th tee to the 9th green.
Yep.
And I can vouch for this. It's uphill all the way. It's a monster hole.
You can check your own prostate halfway up. That's how good that hole is. You can save yourself $50, $60 and go to the doctor. You walk up to the 150 marker and you can check your own prostate because it's hanging out really bad. And I look at some of my members go, well, I'm going to have to buy some more defibrillators, I think, because they love walking it. But it's just like that ninth.
It's mega because the 9th green,
wrench, especially when you're pushing a trailer.
The 9th green,
a lot of them push those. Whew.
The 9th green's higher than the first tee, isn't it? It's further up towards the clubhouse. So you're walking further up. Like the first hole is an absolute perler. It's one of the coolest, most mega opening holes that you're so unexpected to see as a par 5. But then to finish the golf course, you get belted in the head standing on the tee going, I've got to go up to there. It's like almost driver.
Well, that's the thing, because it's probably only about the 490 mark on the meterage from, as a bird would fly from tee to centre green. But,
it's playing 600, I'm telling you.
My senior guys, mate, they're happy when they walk off of 7s. And that's after they've just been a 20-foot putt. It's like, it's because you're heading into the hill. That's the problem. There's no run. You're just heading into the hill. It's just a struggle sheet. But I think, at the end of the day, it's a great finishing hole, like the starting hole, like you're saying. It entices you.
Yeah.
I know over the years, designers and developers going, you can't start with a par 3, and the first hole's got to be easy and all this kind of garbage. But the thing is, I think in today's era, a lot of the clubs have to build what they have to, because if they've got any spare land, well, they need their money. So if you start on a par 3, you start on a par 3. Who cares? But we're lucky we get to start on a par 5, all downhill. And it's if you get away with the drive, and then it entices a good golfer. It entices them to go, come and get me, big boy. But, if you're not if you're a B and C, you lay it up before the hares and you up and over and you walk off with a 5 and 6. But I think, having the elevations and like a lot of members say, you can play this course if you got one leg shorter than the other because nothing's flat. Not even a car park's flat, bro. We had a pool table, but we got rid of that as well. So I don't think that was level either. So
Mate, it's really quite interesting because the golf course, like it's uphill and down dale in a sense. But what makes it so interesting is that it is so different from the Gold Coast. And you described a lot of the Gold Coast courses before. They're reasonably flat. Like not all of them are dead flat, but there's not a lot of movement going around because the Gold Coast essentially is just this giant sandy floodplainy type area. That anything built there, apart from a couple of locations, is more or less manufactured to get those elevation changes. But Tamborine Mountain is so different because it offers this exceptionally undulating piece of ground. I almost liken it to the movement of Bonville down at Coffs Coast in New South Wales. It is so dramatic and the holes are so long. Like it's got to be one of the longest 9-hole tracks going around because to have that first and ninth holes are 2 par 5s, you've got a couple of shorter par 4s over in the middle of the 9, but it is just a cracker of a golf course.
Yeah, I think, when I come on board, there was a few holes that originally used to be par 3. Well, they were originally par 4, and then they had to move back to a par 3 because basically the golf course was built by developers, and then they developed land blocks around it. And the idea was it was going to be the Tamborine Mountain Country Club. So
right,
we had
okay.
so we were going to have a 9-hole golf course. You might as say a gated community with a bowling and a croquet, and mate, you're going to pee yourself when you hear this. That we were supposed to have a swimming pool at the clubhouse.
Really?
On top of a hill. I don't think we had to dig a deep end. It was just going to be a deep end naturally. But, so that was their idea that you build a course, then you sell the house blocks, and those people who buy and build will become members.
Yeah.
And I think it worked for about the first 30 years, and then those people start moving on, and then a lot of people moved in the area now who don't play golf.
Yeah.
So we've become our own little identity, which is great. We still have members that live locally and they drive their golf carts. So it's a little bit like Century Cove, Hope Island kind of thing.
Yep.
But up here, it's just there's just the different slopes of grades. Like all the uphill holes, you're looking at nearly 1.5 to 2 club lengths in difference.
Oh, it's mega. I love it.
And then come down into the opposite. So you could be at 150 and go, won't be a bad, just a little easy 9 or 8 on. For an A grade, mate, they drop down the wedges, because you just close the face up because the gradient's that much, And we just love it. Like the locals love it. I think the guys who play down on the let's call them lowlanders. They find it really challenging because of slopes.
Yeah, okay.
Where, our boys to go away and play tennis and think it's absolutely brilliant because, they're banging these big drives. There's no hill. And they go, oh, mate, I was hitting these 300-metre drives, man. And I look at them and go, mate, you can only hit 250 usually up here. But, it's just, well, I think we're just lucky that to have something. But the course, I look at the course, I've had a few expats that worked as superintendents on the coast and they've come up and seen me when I started and they're going, bro, it's just like being back home except you're on a hill. And because the way the course is growing out, it's very similar to a New Zealand golf course. And I guess that's one of the trigger points for me. Like, I don't get homesick, Australia's home. But to me, it's my kind of golf course. Like, I love links, but I like links golf course when they are a true links, where it's natural sand, tussocks, fescues, bunkers aren't edged. I like that style.
Yep.
I don't like the manicured links because to me that's not a links golf course. But up here, it's just and I think with being so high, you're talking about the weather. We will have our periods. Like usually we'll get westerlies for about 7 to 10 days. Usually around the show day, around August time.
Yes.
But and for us, that's our worst wind. Like a lot of our greens are situated that they just cop the whole lot.
Yep.
And so you have problems with dry passion. Anyone who knows anything about bent bent loves to be in a certain range of temperature. So it's quite hard. Like you could have a full club day and you're just going, damn, they're starting to shine up. Next thing you know, they're starting to go purple, and you're going, oh no, I've got 100 out today. You can't turn water on, but you're just trying to hope that a cloud comes over, just drop that temperature down a little bit. But then the next day it could be stone cold, freezing. You know, the tower works like a wind wine. Like I've heard that thing scream its guts off like a cat in a blender. I'm going, what is that noise? Like our workshop's probably, I don't know, I guess 400 metres away from the tower, and you go, what's dying? But it's just the wind. It's, you know, we'll get up to like, I think a couple weekends we've stuff around the 75k winds up here. So members are getting sandblast because the sand's just coming out of the bunk. They're coming all red on one side.
And that comes with elevation, right? Like you say, you're right up there, you're up high, and so it comes sweeping in from the west because you don't really have the great divide too much to the west of you. You're on the scenic rim. You're up at the top, right?
Yep, pretty well much. Yeah. So a lot of times our main range will only come from a certain direction. Otherwise, we might get a little shower. But if it comes from like the Toowoomba Warwick range, we'll cop a good bit, and we'll get frequently maybe a storm come up from South Gold Coast, like the Coolangatta direction. But that's usually got the hail in it. There's not a lot of rain, just the hail. And you kind of go, oh, this is going to be fun. I love snow. But, you know, it's just, I think being such, and like all our greens are push-ups.
Yep.
So a lot of these greens are probably, except for one, most of them probably be at least 30 to 40 years old.
Yeah, right, okay.
So they've got an old profile. They were built the old way. So we have good drainage now, so we've had to do a lot of deep aeration. Just over time that, you know, we've got a few layers through there. I think in my first month that we're here, so that's what, 2 years, 9 months ago, we were close to 7 weeks straight, we copped 2.4 metres of rain.
Whoa.
So basically all the greens, there's not a drain in sight. We don't have any drainage.
Yep.
So everyone on the coast goes, oh, you're on the mountain, it'll drain. Well, the easy way I can explain it to guys is go get a bucket of sand, put a bit of turf on top of that sand, and then fill out water. and that's what I had. I had 10 of these buggers.
Yeah,
and
right.
that water stayed around for probably about 10 weeks.
Yeah, right.
We just couldn't get rid of it. And during that time, you know, we got a bit of hot weather, and we got perfume, but then it wouldn't start, and then it started raining again. So it took a little while. Oh, it probably took me maybe a good month to nip the perfume in the butt to stop it. But in saying that, we lost 5 or 6 greens totally.
Yeah,
gone.
right.
And of course, then, you know, what are our options now? And you go, well, turf on sea, but, you know, no one does turf, bent grass turf anymore.
No. It comes in. So you got to refrigerate it up from Melbourne if you do. It's pretty wild.
And pretty well, those guys aren't really doing it because there's not a lot of market for it. So it's like, oh, well, we'll have a crack at seeding today. And then we just cop, I don't know, weeks on end of massive winds. And like, I remember many times on the greens, scarifying, booty cutting them, overseeing, signing them off that night and going, yeah, I'll be happy with that. We'll have a look in 7 days' time. It should be a green turn. So I'll come the next day and there wasn't a grain of sand on it. The whole wind just ripped the whole lot off.
Yeah,
and I went,
wow.
So we kind of
it's tough.
had to battle through that. But, you know, having 7 weeks with no income, we really struggled. And that's, you know, we're only a little golf club. And at that stage, we probably had about 147 members.
Yep.
And so you kind of like, oh, wow. But I was pig-headed. When I wasn't pig-headed, I just really valued the members who were my employers. I'm going, well, I'm not shutting down. What? I'm not shutting down. I'll do everything I can to keep the golf course going. So I ended up having to rip the putting green out because that was going all right. So I had used all the turf off the putting green. So that would have been a good, I don't know, 800 plus square metres. So I just turfed out the worst parts.
Yeah, right.
Just keep us going. So, you know, we got it back. So that was kind of, it's probably about the most stress I've been in my whole career.
Yeah, wow.
We just can't physically control it.
Yeah.
And then, I remember staying one green. Well, I walked on the green and I know I had one. You're a young fella, Steve, but I had a waterbed when I was a young fella because it was cool.
Yeah, I remember those when I was a kid. I never had one, but I remember them.
Awesome for a bit of jiggy jig.
That was that was a 70s special, wasn't it? The waterbeds.
Oh, come on, mate. Go 82. I had the velvet sides on mine. Mate, I'm 6'4". I could lay across it, and I still had to put a pillow on the side. It was a big bugger. It was a great thing. I just hope the tenants, when I left, loved it because I wasn't going to unload it, unpull it, and then try and carry it out. So I hope the tenants loved it. But you walk on a green, and like the green moved by a foot in height. The whole green was afloat.
Yeah, right.
So our root base was only about 20, 25 mil, and it was just dying because it was just waterlogged. And I remember stabbing this green with it's kind of the weirdest thing I had in my pocket, a soccer set extension.
Yeah.
So it was a half-inch. I don't know why I had it in my pocket, but I stabbed the green 8 times. Well, it ran like a park bubbler for over 8 hours. It just bubbled away, like 6 inches high, just bubbled away. And I went, wow. I took a video because I'd never seen it. I went, wow. I could just say it would have been an irrigation break, but it wasn't that.
That's incredible.
So we had a pretty tough time at the start. So, a lot of people was going, oh, bet you wish you never come here.
Well, baptism of fire, I guess. But,
and I just looked at it and went, well, mate, that's what you sign up for. It's a challenge.
These are the challenges, right? Now, mate, you've described a bit of the climate up there. It's very high. We've talked about the wind. You get some mega rains, and when it rains, it rains. And you guys, and along with the East Coast, the last 4 years has been horrific with the amount of water that's come down. So you've explained that. Now, one of the things, mate, I just would like you to drop in the middle here, if you don't mind. Oh, I think it wasn't long before or after. I can't remember exactly when it was that I played the course, but you guys had a tornado.
Yeah, it was last Christmas.
Last Christmas. So that was after I'd played it.
Yeah, so Christmas Eve. And I live probably about 4 minutes down the hill facing the Gold Coast. And, we're all getting on the gas, and as you do, singing along, trying to find...
Because it was Christmas Eve, like you said. It was so everyone's up there holidaying, family, whole lot.
Everyone comes up, and then I kind of had an inkling we'd had a bit of wind. So being me, and like most greenkeepers, you work Christmas Day. And so I said to my best mate, I've got to go and check the course. What? And I was just thinking, be a few branches, maybe a jacaranda's fallen down or something because it's been so wet. Something surely would have fallen over. So I was just more mindful, keep the course open. And even though we're closed on Christmas Day, I couldn't get up the hill. All the roads blocked. So I remember talking to the coppers going, hey, they're like, where you want to go? I said, well, you know where I work. And they go, yeah, you're not getting there, mate. And I went, well, how about I go home and get the motorbike? And they go, mate, you still won't get through there. And I'm like, what? And they said, mate, we'll let you walk, but you got to watch out for all the live wires. I went, Christ, it wasn't that much wind, mate. And he goes, mate, we had a tornado. And I was kind of sad, and I'm pretty happy he didn't get separated because I was like, yeah, bullshit. And, sure enough, we had a tornado come through that night. And we were kind of a little bit lucky. It's like it started around about Jimbooma, which is kind of north of Bow Desert behind us, and come straight through to Upper Coomera on that line.
Yes.
And so that was another challenge because we only had the side of it. And of course, a lot of people think, tornadoes are twisted, like we see in America in the Midwest and all that, where it's like a funnel. So after a few days, you kind of get across the mountain, but we had no power for about 11 to 13 days. No communications because the phone tower was pretty out as well. And I remember going over there on my motorbike, and I'm going, that wasn't a twister. It was a cylinder kind of style tornado because it was basically just like someone got a big, massive ass roller and just plowed everything. All the bush just dead flat.
Wow. Stuff
was broken off about 2/3 was missing off all the trees. It just snapped it clean off, and I went, never seen anything like it. You can stand on the north side of the mountain and look to the Gold Coast, and it's like there's someone gone through with a whip snipper. And you go, wow.
Yes.
So that was kind of, I think as a greenkeeper, you think, what's a power cut? Well, no power. I had no pumps for irrigation. We had no power for the clubhouse, all the freezers and all the frosting. I had stuff in the workshop freezer I forgot about for 2 weeks. It went off, stung the old fish. And you kind of think, oh, so it's kind of quite a different feeling to live like in doomsday, because we had nothing, and like within a few days, all you can hear is generators. Everyone's shot off down to the camping stores and that, and getting all the generators in. I think it got to a point where the Gold Coast had no generators left.
Yeah, right.
And you kind of go, you're joking. But, the golf course up here, it's like the clubhouse is on his own supply, the irrigation on his own supply, the workshop's on his own supply. So members are going, oh, why don't you get a generator? And I'm kind of looking and going, well, that's a bloody big extension cord. I don't think Bunnings have got that many, mate. And then, so we went, 12, 13 days. But after the tornadoes, I had to close the course for 3 days. And then a few of the members volunteered. And then prior to that, the pro and I were running around all day and night, just making big turkey piles, just so we could get the course open.
Yeah, right.
It's really important to me. I've got a lot of retirees. I've got return servicemen. I wanted to get it open. And so he was pushing to get the clubhouse open because we wanted to become a hub.
Yep.
The locals had gone a weekless to generate up Puralong. And it just, we get the beer cold and that, and it's like could get running toilets, because we don't have any services up here. We're all on water tanks. So it was just like, well, go and have a beer, have a yarn, talk to your mates, just some soul show. But then after that, then we got the flood again.
Yeah.
So right. we kind of had about 3 or 4 days of being open, and then we copped 2 minutes of rain.
Yeah, oh, mate, no rest for the wicked, right?
And it's like, so then I thought, I've dealt with this before. I know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
But then when the rain stopped, we had 3 days over 38 degrees.
Oh, wow. Because it's the middle of summer.
And I'm going, Jesus, God, we've only just started January, or near the end of January. What's going on?
Yeah.
The problem we had was because the green profile was so full of waterlogged again, the bent was dying from underneath because the substructure was getting too hot with all the water in it, and it was boiling it like putting a saucepan of water and putting lettuce in it. And you're standing there and you're looking at grass, and it's not going silver, you're not seeing footprinting, you're not seeing purple, you're not seeing brown, it's just black. And you put your and I thought, okay, I've never been a big one on using probes, and I've always been taught to use my eye, my smell, my senses. So I went and just did a temperature test on the grass blade on the greens, and it was just under 50 degrees. And I went, oh. And then I went, oh. So then, turn the probe on. Let's go and see what it was like underneath. Well, I think the length of the probe on the thing is probably about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Well, It was up to 32 degrees.
In the ground? In the ground.
And I went, it's getting hotter. And as the day went on, the moisture underneath got so hot, it just started cooking the grass from underneath. And so we went, and we were unfortunate. So then we went and lost 4 greens just straight away. Like I was losing greens about every 15 minutes. The whole green just go. And, people go, I'll put water on. Well, I can't. I've got no power. And I said, why would you want to put more water on? Because the damn things are floating out. So what do you do? And I think we got a day where it dropped back down to about 28. I thought, right, we'll get the old core out and put the big ass solid tines. Well, I'll punch holes in it. I'll get air in there to, do something. And I remember going across one of the greens. It was like the 6th green. That's the one around the back corner up half up the hill. Going across, and I'm coming back, and I'm actually washing water squirt out of all 24 holes, mate, out of the tine holes. And I'm going, wow, I've just saved myself money. I didn't even take the wife to Vegas at all to see the water fountain. I could just bring her up here. And, as I'm doing it, the greens are dying. And I'm thinking, and you just stand there, and, you're basically at a stage where you just want to roll up in a fetus position. And I just looked at it in the day, and I said, right, time to stand up again. Yeah, that was another curveball that Mother Nature threw out. So all the guys on the coast.
Yeah, and a lot of part of the East Coast. It was a wild time, and so many people dealt with so much. And this is what we're hearing about the golf courses and what the challenges are. Every different different circumstances that come through, and everyone's got some pretty serious challenges to deal with more regularly than we think. I think a lot of the time, mate.
Well,
I want to go on.
Well, I think what was showed with the Tamborine Mountain kind of district, and probably most of the scene rim, was just how strong that personally are, mate. You know,
the community rallies together well.
Mate, you see it on TV, on the news and stuff. They go, oh, yeah, the Mud Army and all that. But it's like a promotion. Whereas up here, mate, I was seeing neighbours looking after neighbours like 40 houses down, didn't even know them. Just go down on dust to clean up, and then so they wake up in the morning and go, hey, my driveway's clear. There was no one was saying, oh, I'll do that. It's like, you sit back and go, mate, I'm proud of these people because they're just getting out there doing it. They go, and they do it for everyone. And I'm going, wow, no one's ever experienced this. We don't even know where to start.
Yeah, wow.
But, I thought it was really good to see the whole community. And like nearly all communities do in Australia, which is great. They pull together. But for such a small community, and we're basically tourist destination.
Yep.
So, everything survives on the tourists coming through. Well, the tourists can't get up here. No one's making any money. So,
it's tough.
Yeah, it was just good to see the whole community pull together, mate,
Mate, I want to change the mood a little bit and talk specifically a bit more about the golf course now. And for the most part, tell us, we've just heard that you got bent grass on your greens, and that's one of the cool parts that I really liked and enjoyed about the golf course a lot, even though it brings with it a lot of challenges being so far north. Mate, what else makes up the golf course turf surfaces as we play a round of golf?
Yeah, well, okay, so we got bent grass greens, but I would challenge anyone to tell me what type I got. Like, I like to say to reps or anyone interested, I've got a show bag. So I've got I've got a Kenny Koala show bag. It's like there's multiple strands of different varieties of bent in them. So we look a bit like a Dalmatian some months a year.
Okay.
Just where some bents are a bit stronger growing than the environment suits them more. But so currently we're creeping bent on the greens, but I did a little bit last year. I'm doing a lot more this renos, and then probably maybe the next two course renovations with overseeding. Going to go the A4 Pencross.
Yep.
Solely, well, it was my decision. The benefit of the members up at Tamborine Golf Club, that they actually enjoy being on the journey with me. So it's like, well, I want to go this. Why? Well, it's more resistance against disease. It can tolerate the heat better. It's a finer bent, less maintenance, and then say no more. So we're going to slowly kind of change them back over to A4 dominant A4 Pencross.
Yep.
The rest of the course is basically Kaikuya.
Okay.
That's the gusto. It's Kaikuya. It's I've only just started pro on. I started last year. Starting to spray with the growth retardants.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And then just try and get the Kaikuya to kind of shrink up, become a finer blade. Because I noticed it starts to mineralise those big runners.
Yeah. You get the big chunks.
It's not nice to play off.
Yeah.
Everything else is Kaikuya, like rough fairways, tees. But roughly for about 2 months a year, the good old Queensland Blue Cooch comes through really strong.
Okay, that's interesting.
And it'll actually compete with the kite and the fairway. So
wow.
We started up a little, like a really basic fertiliser program, because basically I think in the last maybe 15, 20 years, the only thing that ever gone on these fairways was one application of lime and one application of chicken shit. That was it. So, when you think on the mountain, a lot of the nutrients probably getting leached out of the soil. It was just started up like a basic, what we can afford. And that's really provided us with quite a tight Kaikuya playing surface.
Yeah, okay.
So we throw in, for a little club of school, we might have about 280, 300 members now. I do a basic fairway renovation, so you're spiking. So I double spike the fairways.
Yep.
And ever since I started doing that, then I really started getting a really nice tight cover of kite. So that's come up good. With the tees, did a trial last year. I love looking at golf courses, whether it's on TV or personally, when you kind of stand behind a tee block and you can see the tee blocks are like a different grass.
Yeah, okay.
So you get that definition, not just, it's cooch, and then the cooch is cut at 1.5 inches and the tees are cut at 10 to 12 mil.
Yep.
I like to see the definition of grass. So must have been about 2 years ago. I bulldozed one of me teas. It was like a loaf of loaf of bread from the bakery. We bulldozed it, and to find out that I peeled off probably about, oh mate, it must have been nearly at least a minimum a metre of crown on it, and it was just pure sand. The whole
Yeah,
thing
right.
pure sand, and that so leveled it up pretty basically. And I went in with wintergreen cooch.
Okay. How's that going up there?
And well, that's what I wanted to find out, because I thought, well, up here, we got that little bit of rain, we got the heat. Let's see what we could do. And I really wanted to see if the cooch was as big as growing, if not more, than the kikuyu.
Yep.
I wanted to see if it could hold it out a little bit without kind of edging it, which it did. So I've gone roughly 2 years, and I haven't touched it. I fertilised it when I laid it, and that was it.
Yeah, right.
And it holds up, like it's a bit scruffy now, and needs the old verticuts run over it and, scalper when it comes time. But it's actually held the kite out really well. Like, you can just walk along, and about 10, 15 minutes later, you pull all the runners. Like, you only get in there one runner,
Yeah,
where
okay.
you just pull it up. You're not getting, like, the big clump coming into it. So, and, like, when we had the rain and heat, like, anyone who knows wintergreen cooch, great colour. Stripes up, love it. The members love that. They love it when you stripe it up.
Yep.
And like it recovers really well for a par 3 tee. I know a lot of other courses around Australia you run cooch, and like it just grows so much quicker up here than the kikuyu.
That's great, mate. Well done.
So
Good
and
call.
I think we're working on that coming months. We've got a few more tees, and we just do it where the budget allows us. So
Yep.
but yeah.
Very good.
That's pretty well what the turf is up here, bro.
Very good, mate. Good to hear. Mate, I want to, you've mentioned to me before, I want to talk about this one a little bit and get a bit of a feel, but you're doing a bit of irrigation upgrades to the golf course at the moment. You're doing a few things that are happening out there actually this week, you were telling me. So can you tell us a little bit about what you had previously with the irrigation and what your upgrades are sort of entailing?
Well, basically, like I said, the course was built by volunteers, so the irrigation was put in by volunteers.
Yep.
And we were an old dairy farm, so I think originally they put it down in steel pipe.
Okay, wow.
So,
righto.
So now I have, it's funny because it doesn't rust, it actually comes to surface quicker than it rusts out.
Oh, really?
There must be something really good in that lead gal back in the early 1959, man, because some of the stuff you could reuse. And so I know over the years they swapped out some stuff and they've gone to the good old PVC.
Yep.
So we've got some areas that are PVC, then we've got some areas that are poly. But we run the old 12 core system. So when we had all these storms 2 years ago, we started losing some of our systems. And then we had a little bit of an era where, how do we put it? We accidentally got a guy to come with a postal auger, and no one checked where the wires are.
Oh, no.
So he's gone to move his chain piece, and so he's cut through all the wires.
Oh.
And so you're trying to join wires that are probably 40 years old, and they're cast colour, and you're kind of going, they're not even the same wires.
Oh, no, that's
And
brutal.
so you're having to kind of go through this thing of, you got 10 greens, so there's 20 wires, then you got the tee, so there's another minimum of 20 wires. So you're looking at 40 wires that aren't in any conduit, they're just lying in the ground. And so we kind of got, out of 10, we had about, we got maybe in about 6 greens to work.
Right.
So there's 4, wasn't it? And then we got the storm last year. Well, then that knocked out another 4. And that was, I would have said, solely through lightning strikes.
Right.
So we had the control on the workshop. That got spat out off the wall. And, a lot of trees where you see the lightning bolt going straight down the tree, so it split the tree.
Yep.
So I'd say it would have been damaged through there. But the pipe work was just starting to leak. Like, we were having leaks nearly one a week. We'd have water coming out of somewhere. And so we our water supply comes from a bore.
Okay.
So we had a 35 foot bore, and then I believe about 4 years ago it went dry.
Right.
And so the committee at the time, right, we've got to get another bore. So the guys had to go down 100 foot to find water.
Wow.
So basically our water Like I look at it and go, every time we have these kind of challenges from Mother Nature, let's shut down, let's put a brewery on this place. Because the water's absolutely smicked. Like certain soda companies, water bottle companies, that's where the water comes from. Comes off little Tamborine Mountain. So it's beautiful water, mate. God knows where it's come down from. Comes up from 100 foot down. So we basically pump and bore to a couple of concrete tanks. That's what feeds out something course. So over the last few years, the management committee have tried to secure a grant through the government to get a new system put in, because all this time, so basically you're looking at 2 years, 5 months, I've had no actual control of an irrigation system. I've got water to the greens now. So currently we're just turning on the solenoid and have to stand there and watch the sprinklers go around. It's 8 o'clock at night. And then, so, you've been doing that for, over 2 years easily. So we were unsuccessful on getting any government grants to put a whole new system, but they'd actually started kind of just putting money aside. So it come around that now we're in actual position that we can actually put a whole new system in, bro.
Mate, that's sensational to hear.
So,
absolutely
for me, it's like I'm going to get my life back.
yeah, for sure. It's good to hear. Good to hear you got the upgrades coming, mate, for the irrigation. So that's going to change that's going to change everything, right?
Well, the thing is, it changed it because the system was done so long ago. Kind of expressed my opinion of the management committee. Let's look for now let's try and go for the next 40 years. 40 years time, it'll probably need to be looked at.
Yep, exactly.
But we can't do patchwork. So we're going through with new main lines right through. And then new lines, because all around the greens, the polywork and all that's pretty good. But see, we run basically in the industry known as a jacking pump.
Yep.
Because it was done so long ago, like some of the greens are really overkilled in sprinklers. Like we don't even have half a hectare of green space on the greens.
Yeah.
But some of these greens could have up to 6 sprinklers on it. And you go, well, that's actually causing some of our problems, because you go, you've got to give it a bit of a feed. But then you find you're having to go then ticky around and turn them from a 360 arc or to a 180 arc, and so you're always tittering with them, and it's not, you got no control over it. So a lot of these greens we'll be able to go back from 6 sprinklers just back to 3.
Okay.
We'll get good coverage.
Better coverage. Everything becomes better from it.
And that's so it's not just benefiting me. It's going to benefit the members, the greens, because that 9th green up on top of the hill there. You can turn on all 5 sprinklers and walk through the middle of it, won't get wet, mate.
Wow.
And you kind of go, it doesn't matter where you change your nozzles. We just can't get the volume of water up to her. Whereas now we will. We're changing pumps. We're even going like the Dakota line now, so we can bunny hop whenever we need. If we got to rebuild new tees or chainsing, we can just bunny hop off the closest line.
Yep.
So, I think, that project's been going for, a couple of weeks now. The boys should have it done and dusted, everything done the next 2 weeks. So, mate, it's really exciting,
Mate, I want to get a couple of last little bits from you, if you don't mind. I'm curious, we've got to talk about your team. How big's your team? And then also, just to finish off with, I'm looking to see what's your favourite spot on the golf course, mate. So a couple of last points. What have you got for us? Who makes your team up?
Me, myself, and Irene, bro.
Okay.
So
you got some volunteer help as well?
Yep. So I'm the only employed member on staff.
Yep.
And then I run roughly four guys throughout the year, and then I have a couple of guys who basically at least once a week. So basically run 4 in the growing season just to keep on top of the rough, because our rough is horrific.
And it's a big golf course.
I wish I had 5 rough mowers and 5 staff just to keep on top of it.
Sure.
So, we run about 4 qualified guys, not qualified, 4 volunteers full time.
Yep.
But then if we ever need extra hands on the course for storm damage or moving the fence line, mate, there's members are more than happy to put the hands up. Running a young fella, he only does roughly 12 hours a week, like 2 days a week. And he's just my little rouseabout. So, he does those 1%ers, which to me has been very important. And that's, when you come from like Central Cove or Wairiki or even the smaller clubs, but the big membership clubs, those little 1% are really important.
Make a huge difference. And mate, it's always good to have a bit of a shout out to the volunteers, especially from a golf club. It doesn't matter how big or small, if you've got one, if you've got 10. It's important that you're the only qualified there, mate. You're going to need that help to help bring the club and lift the club under your direction. It's a big help and a big bonus to be able to help prepare the golf course. Mate, and one last question I've got for you, and one that I want to hear from you is what's your favourite location on the golf course? For the golfers out there that are going to visit from time to time, and they're not sure of, they're always looking down, staring at their ball and getting around and whacking it from tee to green. I want them to stick their heads up every now and then, have a look around and take it all in. Where's your favourite spot at Tamborine Mountain Golf Club to really enjoy? Where is it from you?
For me, it's probably behind the fourth green. So that's that par 4. It comes down past the workshop. It's got that big camphor laurel about 2/3 down, and everything slopes to that tree.
Yep.
So anything behind that green with the sprinkles going and the fairway mowed up, striped up, or even when it's checkerboard, and you kind of look at it and you go, I'll bet that'll compete with anything on the Gold Coast. It's just like early morning, the sun's just coming up over the clubhouse, sprinkles are on, and there's about 5 sprinkles on that green. You see the stripes through the mist, and mate, you got jacarandas, you got I can't even want to call it, a lot of those chili trees that have got the red flowers, we've got the yellows, we've got the purples for the jacarandas, and it's just a funny little spot. Like, it's not actually in play, it's in the rough. But
I know.
Looking back up, you look back up the ninth,
It's brilliant. There's so many corners of that golf course. I love it. My favourite, I've got to be honest, mate, my favourite's the first tee. When you've been there, never before seen it, and you've been there for the first time, you walk to that first tee, I just sit there and go, wow. And then over the back, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it this left of the 7th? You can see off the edge of the mountain looking west through the trees.
Yeah, that's it. You're basically looking down on Kananga. So, like on a good clear day, a lot of times you can see the scenic rim range, mate.
It's magnificent.
Southern range, and it's like, I've had a lot of people go, you should cut a walkway through, you look out, and of course I just instantly go, well, there's a health and safety. That's about to kick me in the bump. And because it's just a sheer drop, and it's like that kind of hard granite rock kind of thing, and it just goes down.
It's beautiful. It drops away so well. You've got a beautiful view out there. It's absolutely magnificent. Yeah. Mate, Superintendent Graeme Andrews of Tamborine Mountain Golf Club, you have been a fantastic guest, mate. Thank you so much for all that wonderful insight. And and it's a shout out to the team, to the club, to yourself, everyone involved at Tamborine Mountain Golf Club. It's a fantastic 9-hole golf course. Like I said, it is an absolute rip snorter. And if you've been on the Gold Coast and you're thinking of going up and playing somewhere else a little bit different that you might not be so sure about, bent grass greens up there in the high country up on top of Mount Tamborine, it is absolutely sensational. So, mate, thank you for being involved in the Keeper of the Greens segment on the podcast, mate. It's been a real cracker having you on board.
Mate, anytime, mate. Next time you're up here, give us a shout out, mate. We'll jump in the buggy and fill her up with grog, and we'll go and play 9 holes, bro.
Absolutely love it.
I'll introduce them all the koala trees that we planted, mate. So, people complain we've got enough trees now. Well, we're just in the process. So we just finished planting another 100, but we're just becoming there's a sustainable, koala.
And that's for your koala habitat. That's right.
And it's just one of those things where the members just want to come on their journey, It's like...
Brilliant.
We've had them walk across the course when you're putting, the koala will just come do the old crabbing across the green, and you kind of go, we just got to give them something to eat, It's like we've got every other native tree around here, but not what they want to eat. So,
mate, well, don't be
shy, man. Get on up here again, bro.
Absolutely. And to anyone else listening, you've got to go up there and visit. Mate, what a great way to finish with the koalas pictured in our heads walking across the fairways of Tamborine Mountain Golf Club. You've been a wonderful guest, Graeme. Thank you so much, mate. I really appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks for it, Steve. Appreciate it, bro.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Superintendent Graeme Andrews from the sensational Tamborine Mountain Golf Club in Queensland, just to the west of the Gold Coast. Graeme is a fantastic character and certainly one of a kind, as you've heard, and he's just doing such a sterling job up there looking after the golf course, and he's working really hard with the team, the volunteers, and the club up there at Tamborine Mountain. So, look, if you get an opportunity, get up there and have a game, and you'll really enjoy it. I guarantee you'll really enjoy yourself, and certainly keep an eye out for Graeme, or G as he's known, and say g'day while you're up there as well. You'll certainly hear a good yarn from him, as you no doubt you can tell from the conversation we've had. Lots of great things coming to Tamborine Mountain, and Graeme's had one hell of a career. What a ride from New Zealand up to Tamborine Mountain where he is today. Always good to hear those things. Now, don't forget, John Deere Golf are partners with the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast, and they're title sponsors of John Deere Golf Keeper of the Green. So make sure, we've got clickables in the show notes, make sure you go and check out their website at deere.com.au. That's deere.com.au. And for the platforms that allow it, there's lots of clickables in there, and certainly go to their website and have a look. And always, don't forget, get in touch with the reps if you're looking at machinery and looking for things to be able to improve your golf course. And they've certainly got some wonderful technology and equipment out there that's out there at the moment, and some great things to come. And we will be talking about some of that stuff in the not too distant future as well. So fantastic, as I always say, to have John Deere Golf on board for this John Deere Golf Keeper of the Green segment of the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. Now, please, ladies and gentlemen, we are having a great deal of fun going around the country, and we've got some more conversations and interviews had. I've been on the road, and I'm continuing to do so. We've got some wonderful interviews coming up, and travelling interstate. That's what's going on. I've put myself in the driver's seat and getting out to visit a few superintendents at a few golf courses that I've not obviously been to before for Keeper of the Green. So lots of things coming, and you are going to want to hear some of these. They are fantastic golf courses and some sensational people that I'll be having a chat with. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share this around to people that you know, people that are interested, whether they're greenkeepers, whether they're apprentices, whether they're long-established greenkeepers, or board members, or golfers that want to learn more about the golf courses that we love to hear about, love to go and play, and they want to understand a little bit more detail that goes in behind maintaining and bringing these golf courses to you. So make sure you please like, share, and subscribe, as I mentioned, to the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. I'm going to leave you with it, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, you hit him clean, we'll keep him green, and I'll catch up with you very soon.